people? It's me, Autumn, back with another video. So today is gonna be... I've been wanting to do this video since like 4 days ago. This is gonna be Papa John's horror stories, because I worked at Papa John's for 10 months, January to October. Yeah, 10 months. It was fun. I liked it. It was my favorite job. I was there for 10 months, but I had to quit for reasons. So, this first story I'm telling you wasn't really a horror story per se, but more of a really, really stupid story. So, a guy comes in and he orders... I think he ordered a Mediterranean vegetable pizza, which has chunks of tomatoes on it and barbecue sauce and something else, something like that. And so it's like, okay. And then we get a call from his wife, and she's like, hey, I'm allergic to tomatoes, and there wasn't supposed to be tomatoes on his pizza, so my husband's bringing the pizza back. And we're like, oh, okay. Okay, we good. So, I hung up the phone, I told my manager, and he's like, okay. And, the guy comes in not even 5 minutes later. And he's like, hey, this pizza's wrong, my wife's allergic to tomatoes. And they're all like, okay, well, we can make you another pizza, or we can remake the pizza, just take the tomatoes off of it. He orders a Works. A Works is basically our supreme pizza, but it has pizza sauce. Our pizza sauce is made out of tomatoes. So I tell the manager, I'm like, he wants a Works. And he's like, okay, a Works with barbecue sauce? And I'm like, no, he just wants a plain out Works. Nothing changed to it. So... my manager will call him. Okay, there's 3 managers. There'll be Tim, Bill, and Bob. We'll call this manager Bill. So, Bill. Sorry, someone honked a horn. Okay, so Bill kind of comes over to, the front counter where we have our computers, and he kind of leans forward, and the guy's, sitting there on his phone, reading a book, something like that, and he's all like, our pizza has tomatoes, our pizza sauce is made out of tomatoes, right? And he's like, yeah, she's allergic to them, she just can't eat chunks of tomatoes. And he's like, okay. And so he just... walks away, makes the pizza, and gives it to him. As soon as he leaves, Bill turns around and screams, how the fuck are you going to say you're allergic to tomatoes, but order pizza with a sauce made out of tomatoes? And I died. So honestly, that wasn't really a horror story. It was more of a really funny story, but I really think the guy was just trying to get a free pizza. However, we did keep his Mediterranean pizza, and it was delicious. They hadn't eaten it yet or anything. And so, next one is... probably, this one isn't too terribly bad, but this is... basically, this guy ordered a Works. People love our Works pizza. I'm not a big fan of it. I usually get the meat lovers, but this guy orders a Works pizza, and I show it to him, and he's all like, is this the correct amount of toppings? And I'm like, I don't know, I didn't make the pizza. And at Papa John's, we have these little measuring cups, and if you ever look at a Papa John's make line, if you can see it, you'll see it has these little poster things on the wall, and they got different colors, and it's okay, for this pizza, if they want, half this, you use this size cup and scoop this topping and spread it evenly on this half of the pizza, and all that. Basically, it tells you for what toppings, the measuring cup to use to scoop it. And so they use that all the time. They're not the pizza place that just throws toppings on it. They will measure it out correctly. And so he kind of complains about it, and I'm like, well, I can get a manager over here, and I called Bill again because Bill's always there. He's not even the general manager. He's just always there. He's my favorite manager. He's hilarious. But so he comes over and, I tell him, and he looks at the pizza and he's like, no, this is the correct amount of toppings. Like, it's everything you wanted and it's, the correct measurements. And he's like, well, in the past, at the Montgomery Papa John's, I live in Alabama. I'm in a little town called Prattville, maybe like 30 minutes, not even, maybe like 15, 20 minutes north of Montgomery. So, I'm there, but, so, basically, he's like, well, at the Montgomery Papa John's, they put a lot more toppings on it. And he's like, well, I mean, we use measuring cups. If you wanted more, you should have ordered, double toppings, which we can do. A lot of people do it. And he's all like, no, it's fine. I'm never going to eat here again, wasting my money. And, like, when he left, I kind of turned to Bill, and I'm like, he does realize that in one night, we get close to a good 150, 200 customers in carry out alone. Especially if there's a football game, we'll make a good 20, 30,000 a night. Okay, we're making crazy amounts of money. That guy losing $14 isn't really going to do anything. Technically, it was $15.33 because he ordered a specialty pizza, which we had a discount for $14 plus tax. So it was a $15.33. Yeah, ugh, I still remember those prices. Yeah, when you work there for 10 months, people start asking you how much it would cost for like a certain pizza. So say, someone would call and be like, how much would it cost me to order a large meat lovers and large pepperoni and sausage? Well, we have a family deal of $22, which is a large specialty and large two-topping. And so I'd be like, okay, well, it's a deal, so it would be 22 plus tax, so it would be $24.09. So, and they're like, so that's like, it's $24.09, and I'm like, yeah, but that's including the tax. So it's like, it would be 22, but I added the tax in, so your total would be including the tax, $24.09. And they loved that. They were like, oh, sweet, I have someone who's actually telling me, the exact amount. And then there's some people where I tell them their total, and they'd be like, how did that work? And I'd be like, well, the order total is this, and then this is how much the tax is, and that because we have that. And then it's like, oh, and then we also have, if they did delivery, Papa John's has a $3 delivery fee, so it's like, and then there's a $3 delivery fee, and they're like, oh, okay. Anywho, off topic. So he leaves and blah, 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 so wasn't that bad. There was another one who, he waited for his pizza for a good 20 minutes and started screaming at everyone. Ooh, this isn't really a retail horror story, but so the way our Papa John's is set up is we're in like a big shopping complex, and if you're standing in front of it, so you're watching this on your phone. If you're standing in front of it, Papa John's would be on this side. Yeah, over here. It would be like down here. So like here's one end, and Papa John's is down here next to its Subway. But so when you walk in the doors, automatically there's, the front counter. There's a little seating area, and, front counter, you take your order, and you can watch the people, toss the dough up. We got the sneeze guards. Well, if you go this way, I feel like my phone's going to reverse this. If you go this way, then basically you come and there's like some weird little closet. I never opened the closet, and then there's like a little fold out table that you pull up, and we would put boxes so we could fold the boxes and stuff. Well, that's when you get to get behind the counter and get to the oven and the make line and the offices and the walk-in and stuff and the driver's table. Well, just so happens that we have a sign on the little wall that surrounds the closet that says, for your safety, employees only, because we have two 400-degree ovens back there. We don't need no little kid running up and touching it. We have drivers who, when it's really busy, are coming in and out with pizza, so we can't have people, flipping back there. Well, then we have like a little heating rack for if, our two heating racks on either side of the cutting table get like run out of room. And so then next to that is like a big cooler where we have like our 20 ounces and 2 liters. So this lady comes in and, she orders her pizza. And it's like, okay. And it wasn't so much a horror story, more as a can you read lady story. And she was wearing like a bright yellow shirt. So I was sitting there, I was talking to I can say his name because I'm still friends with him now. I was talking to my friend Jerry. And yes, that's his real name. And so, like, I kind of see her kind of like move. Like, I see her bright yellow shirt out the corner of my eye. And, I turn and I'm like, because I thought maybe she needed something. So I turn and, like, she's not over there. And I'm like, what? So I was looking around. And then I turn around because I think someone said they needed my help. Like, either needed a pull from the oven or drivers needed me to help them bag. I don't know. When you've been there for 10 months, you're doing everything. I was literally doing everything in that store except for make line, dough, and the deliveries. Like, because the way it was when I first got there was a girl named, we'll say, Beth. A girl named Beth. A girl named Susan. A guy named Jim. And then me. So I came in. And so there's 4 of us originally. Well, Jim had to leave. He got a job at the YMCA, I think. And then I think maybe in August or September, Susan left, so it was just me and Beth. Mind you, these aren't their real names. I'm not about to say the real names. I'll say Jerry's name, but I'm not going to say, the other people's names. So it was just me and Beth. Well, Beth worked on make line. And so basically I was the one who's in charge of running the oven and the front counter because me and Beth had been there the longest. So, I was helping a driver bag pizzas because I think it was a big order. I think maybe it was like 12 or 13 pizzas, which is kind of small compared to some of the orders we've had. But we were really busy at that time, so it was a pretty big order. Because, we've had First Baptist Church order 200 pizzas, and the carry-out time was an hour because we were running all the pizzas in. But so, my hair is doing its own thing. But so, I was helping him, and then I noticed her shirt again, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe she's standing at the corner, like I looked and I didn't see anyone up at the front counter, and sometimes they'll do that, like they'll kind of come stand at the corner right there and try to get your attention, and it's like, I get that, no one's at the front counter, we really should get a bell up there, but in reality, we wouldn't be able to hear it, because we got the ovens and stuff, and you never realize how loud those ovens are until the power goes out twice in a row, and the ovens shut off for a second and have to come back on. Yeah, it got real quiet. It's like, holy crap. But so I turn and she's not there. Or I turn, but she's not standing at the corner. She's standing by the cooler that is way past the corner, right next to the driver's station. And she pulls out a drink and walks around and sets it on the counter. And me and the driver just look at each other. And we have these looks like, can she read? So I walk around and I ring up her drink. And I tell her, nicely, I'm like, hey, we have, that sign over there that says, for your safety, employees only, because as you can see, we're kind of busy. We have drivers coming in and out. We have, a huge oven back there, and we can't really have, customers, getting in the middle of that because it's already pretty crowded back here because we have like 20 drivers. And she was pretty understanding. She's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't see the sign. It won't happen again, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, good. Then there was another lady who did the exact same thing, and I said that, and she got all mad. She's like, well, yeah, and it's all like, it's on a huge piece, it's a huge sign on the corner in big black bold letters. How can you miss it? And to top it off, it's on a red wall. Pretty sure you would notice something white on a red wall. Anywho, that wasn't too bad. Alright. I have time for one more, and this is probably the worst of them all. So this lady comes in, and she's pretty good at first. And so, she's all like, oh, order for this. She gave me her name. I told her up, and I'm like, here's your total. And she gave me her credit card, and, I swiped it, and I held out my hand like, this to hand it back to her. And I would, like, when we're there, we have to, like, type in some weird code and crap to get the thing to authorize sometimes. I don't know, mine did. Like, I had to do it. But so I was holding it out, and she didn't take it. So, I set it down on the counter, and I pulled out her receipt, and, I set her card on top of the receipt. And she's like, and I'm like, yes. And she's all like, she said something. I don't remember what she said. Or she's all like, my card. And I'm like, yeah, it's right there. And she's like, no, my card. And I'm like, yeah, it's right there. And then she's all like, my card. And I'm like, right there. I already swiped it. It went through. There's your receipt so you can sign it. And she's like, no, I was holding out my hand and you didn't set it in my hand. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry. I was typing in a code to authorize your purchase. And she's all like, well, you should have been paying attention. I'm like, I'm sorry. So I picked up her receipt and a card and handed it to her. And she's all like, thank you. And she snatched it and she slammed down the card and the receipt in the exact spot I had just had them set. She puts her card in her purse and she's all like, starting to get an attitude with me. Kind of under her breath. And I'm like, ma'am, I'm not getting an attitude with you. I honestly did not see your hand. And I was focused on the screen. And she's all like, whatever. And I gave her a pen. And I, like, set the pen down on her receipt. And she literally snaps her fingers and does one of these things with, like, getting an attitude. She's like, did you just slam that pen down? And I'm like, no. Now, at this point, I was already starting to get pretty mad. But it was to the point where I was so mad, I was about to start crying. So I said no in, like, the toughest-ish sort of tone. And, like, God. I said no in a tone that said, no, I didn't. Now, quit being a bitch. Obviously, I didn't say that. But, and so she's like getting an attitude. And so I got a pizza. I showed it to her. And she's like, good, at least something's done right. And I'm just standing there and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, bitch, get the fuck out of my store. Because you were this close to getting backhanded. And honest to God, she was lucky I was on the clock. Because I was about to clock out before she came in. And if I was clocked out and was helping her, I would have knocked her out. And I know that sounds awful, but I'm a violent person. And I don't take well to being, like, kind of belittled like that. It's like, I did nothing wrong, okay? The fact that you did not reach out and take your card after I sat there for a good minute and a half holding it out for you is not my problem. Like, you were sitting there on your fancy little iPhone 22 or some shit like that. I don't know. But so she's all like, she snatches up the pen and she's like, there's a lot of power in a pen and I'm about to execute my power. And she gave me a $0 tip. And I looked at her and I'm like, you do realize I work front counter. Like, not giving me not giving me a tip isn't going to do anything. Like, yeah, you get some people. I got a $10 tip from one guy who they'll give you, tips. Because in a way, working front counter, you're kind of like a server. But honest to God, it's pretty rare. But there are those regulars who will give you a tip every now and again. I love Elaine. Okay, so, like, and so she's like, she picks up her pizza and she's walking out slowly, like sashaying her way out the store. And she's like, you got a real attitude problem. Mind you, not being racist if I have any, African fans, but she was the stereotypical black woman. Got the attitude, got the dreadlocks down to her flipping knees and large and blah, 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 trying to dress like she a little skinny thing. And like she lets out and As soon as I see her get into her car, I scream at the top of my lungs, "Have a nice trip to hell, bitch." Mind you, her car was parked right in front of the store, and I don't even think her door was shut all the way. And the manager looks at me and he's like, "What did you do?" And I'm like, apparently, after sitting